Founded in 1822, St. Phillips Moravian Church in Winston-Salem began as the nation's oldest African-American Moravian congregation. The present 136-year-old brick structure is the oldest standing African-American church in North Carolina. The church is located in the restored Moravian town of Salem, a community founded in 1766. The Moravian Church in Salem originally ministered to all members of the community, regardless of their race. Although most African-American Moravians were slaves, they participated in church life. In spite of their enslavement, African Americans were viewed as spiritual equals by the white Moravians, and church members of different races were buried side by side in Moravian cemeteries. In 1822, a separate African American congregation was formed, and a year later, a log building was built at the southern end of Church Street for worship services. The church became a focal point in the region for African American religious and educational life. In addition to religious teaching and worship, the Moravians provided instruction in reading and writing. A state law was enacted in 1831 which prohibited the teaching of literacy to slaves. In 1861, as the Civil War began, Moravian leaders built a new, larger brick building on a lot beside the original wooden church. This lot had been previously used in the late 18th century as a parish cemetery for strangers. An extension was added to the front of the building in 1890, which consisted of 3 classrooms. In a large, solemn love feast celebration in 1913, the name St. Phillips was given to the growing congregation. In 1952, the St. Phillips congregation moved to a location in the Happy Hill Gardens section of the city. The congregation's 4th and current home is located at the corner of Bon Air Avenue and 30th Street. The brick church in Old Salem has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places. In recent years, the structure has been stabilized, and archaeological digs on the site have provided some interesting discoveries. For example, 31 gravestones were found between 1994 and 1996 under the floor of the 1890 addition and under the front steps. Mel White, Director of African American Programs at Old Salem, has been gathering oral histories and doing research in preparation for an exhibit in February of 1998. The exhibit will be entitled Across the Creek from Salem, The Story of Happy Hill, 1816 to 1952. Old Salem Incorporated will make St. Phillips the focal point of their capital campaign in 1998. They plan to restore the brick building, reconstruct the original log church, and develop an entire complex which will interpret the African American experience in Old Salem. The significance of St. Phillips has evolved to more than just the preservation of a nationally honored landmark. Research continues to reveal an amazing history of the African American society that was separate from, as well as woven into, the larger Salem society.